Co-author of the bestseller, The 1 Minute Manager, teamed up with UC San Diego psychologist Morton Shaevitz for their new book, Refire, Don't Retire, Make the Rest of Your Life the Best of Your Life. Authors Ken Blanchard and Morton Shaevitz, welcome to Evening Edition.
Thank you.
Good to be with you.
Now, Ken, you use the word refire in your title. What does refire mean?
It really means making your life one of zest and enthusiasm and all. A lot of people think of aging as a sentence rather than an opportunity, and refiring is, boy, what can I learn? What can I do emotionally? You know, relationships. What can I do intellectually, learning new things? What about my body? How about spiritually? You know, there's a lot of opportunities to get excited about life, no matter what your age is.
Instead of just kind of waiting for it, like drudging into it. Morton, as a psychologist, what do you find to be the major hurdles to embracing retirement or that stage in your life?
Attitude, thinking of yourself as not being able to, as opposed to thinking of the new opportunities. And you know, think of the two words. Retire means to go to sleep. Refire means to wake up. And so refire is a metaphor for life. It's a way of approaching life, and as Ken said, with zest and enthusiasm. It's taking risks. It's looking for new opportunities. It's doing simple things like going to a restaurant you've never been to, asking the serving person to decide what they think is the best thing on the menu, and having them serve it to you.
Trying something new. And that brings me to, you touched on it, your book focuses on 4 specific areas: the intellect, physical, spiritual, and emotional well-being. You mentioned one practical tip for dealing with that. Do you have a few others you can tell us?
Well, the fun one in emotional and relationships is what we call the last minute gang, because a lot of people get in ruts and, you know, they say, well, you didn't give me enough notice and all. And the rule, if you're in the last minute gang, is if somebody calls you to ask you to do something, if you don't have anything planned, you say yes. You know, let's just go do it, you know. And
why not? Act like a teenager.
It's being more spontaneous.
And you get into situations, we get the engineer to wind up at an art show that he or she might never have chosen to do before. It allows you to say at the last minute, hey, you know, come on over for takeout food. We just want to chat with you. And again, as Ken said, unless you're already committed, you have to say yes. And that's what leads to the spontaneity.
I love that. Morton, how would these techniques, how would they actually change the aging process, or do they?
Well, they do change the aging process. We have very different models of aging. Laura Carstensen at Stanford and Delip Jeste here at UCSD have studied aging. And what we find out is there are a lot of myths about aging. Older people are not depressed nearly as much as 30 and 40-year-olds. Older people are willing to try out new things if you give them a path. Getting older is an opportunity, it's not a sentence, and that's what the theme is. And once again, we think that it also applies to people who are younger. Give yourself a chance to figure out where you are and where you want to go.
Sure, and we'll come back to that, but first I want to ask, on the retirement side of this, Ken, how is this book different than other retirement strategy books that you've seen?
Most of the retirement strategy books focus on finances and all. We're looking at your life, you know, how you can get that zest and enthusiasm in it, you know, and so make some fun with it. And then what are you doing physically? Well, start walking. You know, you don't have to go to the gym and pump iron. Just walk 30 minutes, you know, 4 or 5 or 6 times a week, and you'll be ahead of most people, you know. It's just sort of saying, what can I do differently?
And Morton, you said that this could be not just for, you don't have to wait till you retire. It applies to middle-aged people?
It absolutely does. And what it applies to is anybody who is looking at where they are in life and finds themselves doing the same thing at the same time with the same people in the same way. You know what? Time to refire.
Speaking of refiring, Ken, you are also working with San Diego Mayor Kevin Faulconer. What are you doing at City Hall? Are you firing him up?
Well, I helped him and facilitated them developing a strategic plan, you know, because one of the problems in government is if you have nothing to serve, the only thing you get to serve is yourself. And so that's what we're trying to say. Well, what are we trying to serve? Where are we trying to go? And it could be unique to actually have goals that people have to report on and accomplish.
All right, Ken and Morton, thanks so much for joining us. I want to let folks know that they can join you, the authors, Ken Blanchard and Morton Shaevitz, as they discuss their book, Refire, at the UC Refire, Don't Retire at the UC San Diego Prize Center tonight at 7 p.m. More details at kpbs.org.